Gareth Slaw, founder of The Squad Room, and I'm on a mission to build a world where first responders wake up inspired, feel confident at work, and go home safe knowing they spent their time in a worthy cause. I'm an active duty sergeant for a sheriff's office in Southern California, and I'm honored that you're spending some time with me today. I believe that every day is an opportunity to improve and to be the best version of ourselves that we possibly can, in and out of uniform, and that every one of us must lead and inspire others so that we can create the change we want to see. That's why I started The Squad Room, where you can get access to some of the best experts in the field. So go to thesquadroom.net to sign up and make sure you don't miss any of this free training. You've probably known for a long time that you could use some help in areas like growing your leadership, raising your emotional wellness, and mastering stress and creating more balance in your life. We all need coaches and mentors in our lives, and we have literally hundreds of hours of free content for you, so your breakthrough awaits at thesquadroom.net. Now let's get to today's episode so you can implement some of these lessons into your life. And trust me, many of these lessons are hard-won. There's blood, sweat, and probably a few tears behind what we share on this show. But the whole point is to help you navigate these tough careers during these incredibly challenging times. So listen closely and maybe even take some notes so that you can execute on these lessons today. I also challenge you to share this message with 3 friends who are committed to personal development like you are so that you can help spread some positivity in these difficult times. It's the responsibility of each of us to lead where we can, and you can do that right now by taking these lessons and growing into your own greatness. Also, make sure you DM me or tag me on Instagram at The Squad Room so I can cheer you on or answer any questions. Thanks for listening. Now let's begin. Today I want to talk about 7 discipline failures you might be overlooking. We often, discipline is a big topic, not only in our profession, but in life in general these days with constant demands on our time and our attention. The goal of staying disciplined is with everybody these days, right? But we often think of discipline as things we have to do, or that we must do, or that we should do, or all the things, the proactive, the taking action of discipline. But I want you to consider the idea that discipline also includes all the things that you should not be doing or shouldn't allow yourself to consider as an option. I talk about discipline being less of a rigid path that you must follow, and that if you were to step left or right off that path, then you are no longer disciplined. And to think of discipline as the same as setting up a perimeter on a barricaded subject. And we establish a perimeter of our discipline, just like a barricaded subject. When you go on that call or something similar to that, one of the first things you do is establish that perimeter. And the goal is to have guidelines or lines of sight that prevent your suspect from escaping, but also from anything else incursion, is that a word? Breaking the perimeter and coming into the inside of your perimeter, right? So there's 2 goals of a perimeter. One is to keep things out, and one is to keep things in. And I think our discipline can be thought of in the same way, much differently than thinking of it as a path we must follow, but a perimeter that within that perimeter we can function. And that some days our discipline might be in a different part of that area or that perimeter than it will be on other days. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that we may have extreme discipline in our physical fitness for one day and then not the next. But maybe our nutrition is better, or our attention with our children, or whatever it is. And so I want to talk about 7 discipline failures that you already might be overlooking, because they're not things we think about as requiring self-discipline, but they absolutely are. So here we are. Number 1, negative self-talk, right? Negative self-talk is such a slippery slope. When you talk poorly to yourself, when you allow yourself to really to say things about yourself, it really increases your stress. It increases feelings of hopelessness. Hopelessness is a precursor to depression. And we often talk to ourselves, literally sometimes out loud, but that internal dialogue. But we often talk about ourselves in a way to other people in ways that we would never talk about to our best friend. And so negative self-talk and allowing ourselves to talk about ourselves in a way like that is a discipline failure, I think. There are plenty of things in our head to make us feel negative, to make us feel down. And when we verbalize those things, it's a really powerful sedative to our lives. And when you say these things over and over again, you begin to believe them. Now, I'm not talking about, having a little, joke at your own expense or being able to make light of your own foibles and that. That's not really what I'm talking about. But when we verbalize something we believe we have a negative trait and we say those things out loud, it comes to fruition in many ways. And so negative self-talk is certainly something that we can all pay more attention to. Next up, number 2, negative thoughts. It's really easy to jump online and find something that will make you angry. It's very simple. I could do it right now. In fact, our brains are designed to seek out bad news. And we retain that information. We retain negative information much longer than we retain positive information. But there's a real cost to that. Anger and fear close us off to new ideas, new opportunities, and we dig ourselves in and we fortify our positions. And you can't improve if you're committed to being pissed off. There's lots of stuff going on in the world right now, right? And there's lots of things that could be considered negative if you allow them to be deemed negative. But it's really up to your own perspective on how these external factors to you affect your life. And so when we make brash or broad generalizations about the negative things happening in the world or how maybe a national movement like BLM affects me personally, we give agency and we give sovereignty over to those ideas or those thoughts that we are affected by. We only are affected by those things that we allow ourselves to be affected by. And so controlling and watching for negative thoughts, negative thought patterns, watching for seeking out negative points of view that reinforce our point of view is, to me, a discipline failure. The better thing, the converse to that, would be seeking out things that challenge your perspective or that help you understand or learn more about what it is you can control, or if you feel you need to control something that is outside of you, how you can become involved and actually take some agency over it. So number 2 of the 7 discipline failures you might be overlooking is negative thoughts. Number 3 is our interactions with our family. This is a tough one because so many things go into our jobs. There's so much stress in our jobs. There's so much dynamic going on that we often forget to be disciplined in how we interact with our family. How often have you acted with pure intention, with pure focus when you're engaging with your family, especially your kids? We're tired, we're stressed, and it takes extra effort to have meaningful experiences with them. But the alternative is completely unacceptable, right? We can't go through life, checked out and in that fog of night shift and sleep deprivation. And there's not a good answer to how we just suck it up, so to speak. But when we're with our family, we need to be attentive to that. And it takes a lot of discipline. Especially for those of us who have a work phone, if your agency gives you a phone, that's not a phone, it's a leash, right? And the expectation that we be available 24/7 for calls. And I understand that there are times where that is absolutely the key or that is appropriate. But there are things we can do, more likely with our own phone, right, to turn them off, to put them down, to make eye contact with our kids or our family members and listen. And that may not be what we want in that moment. We may want to just check out, to sit down on that chair or in your own room and just have some time to yourself. And there's time for that too. But be disciplined about how far you let that go, because it's easy, and I've done this so many times, but it's easy to be very disciplined at work, to be very, very disciplined in how you act and how you speak and all the things you have to do to be a good cop. But then you come home and you have discipline fatigue with your family, and they're the ones who suffer from it. And the relationships that'll be there long after you're retired, those suffer. So it's very much a discipline failure when we fail to interact with our families. The next one, kind of similar, not a family, but interactions with supervisors. That's another discipline failure we sometimes have. Discipline includes handling your responsibilities at whatever level of the organization you're at. Bad employees punt problems up the chain or down the chain. But when they punt and they have the capability to solve them, that's not being disciplined. So my encouragement to you in this scenario or in this area is, regardless of what rank you are, know your role and what your boss's expectations are of you. And that's just a simple conversation with your boss to understand what they want from you and what they expect from you, and understand your job description. And if you're a line level officer, you have a certain set of responsibilities that you should not be punting to the sergeant, and the sergeant has certain responsibilities that they should not be punting to the lieutenant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you could really add like an asterisk or a bonus to this one and say interactions with your supervisors is important because you need to build a relationship with them, but it's also important that you not punt problems downhill that are yours to solve, because that is also a bad way to build a relationship with the people that work with you. So that fourth one there is interactions with supervisors. And I'll say, I hate the word, but interactions with supervisors and I was going to say subordinates. I don't like that word, but we'll say interactions with supervisors and coworkers. Now the next one, the fifth one, cops are not going to like this one, but one of the biggest ways that we fail in our discipline as cops is the gossip. So number 5 is watch your mouth. We're worse than a group of high school cheerleaders when it comes to gossip. It doesn't benefit anyone, and it will perpetuate a reputation for you that you can't be trusted. If you're willing to talk smack about someone else, that means you're also completely willing to do it about me when I'm not in the room with you. So don't be that guy or girl. Gossip is easy, it's enticing, and it's interesting, and you feel like you're in the know, but I can tell you from experience that the people who are known as the gossips are going to carry that jacket with them through their career, and it'll always be something they have to fight, versus the person who you know can be trusted. That is the person that people immediately look to as a leader in the organization. All right, number 6. Sixth discipline failure that you might be overlooking is focusing on the outcome and not the process. You know, if you thought you were going to come into this job and be God's gift to crime fighting, well, I got news for you. Crime will be here long after you leave the job, and instead of obsessing about all the things that are outside of our control, like the court system, probation department, instead of focusing on those things, focus on the process of being the best cop you can possibly be. Take value and pride in your work, not the verdict. It's really easy, especially right now with no bail and COVID restrictions on bookings and all those things. It's really easy to get hung up on the fact that a good hook doesn't end up spending time behind bars. But understand that that's not your role. That's not your job in this. You are the enforcement of the law. You're the one who is there to arrest or to stop the crime, but you're not there to punish it. You're not there to decide what's appropriate. That's for a different part of the criminal justice system. And if you take it upon yourself to be so vested in that part of the job that you literally, or that part of the criminal justice system that you literally have no control over, you will burn an ulcer-sized hole in your stomach throughout your career, because you will never be able to control that. The only things you can control are the process of being the best cop you can be. And you affect those things further down the line. You affect those things by being that best cop, by being a really good report writer, by being very good at documenting evidence, by being very good at knowing the law. Those are all things within your control. And that is where the discipline comes in. But we become undisciplined as cops when we start to focus on the outcome of our investigations, or the outcome of our arrests, or the outcome of what happened during a shift, instead of on the process itself. So number 6 is focusing on the outcome, not the process. That's one of the 7 ways of discipline failures you might be overlooking. The last one for today, there's more, but the last one for today, I'll leave you with this one. Forgetting your purpose. Perhaps the easiest piece of our discipline to lose is our vision for why we're here. It's a tough job, and it's tough times. And it requires fortitude and resilience, and probably at a magnitude that has never been expected in policing ever before. So why are you here? Have a clear answer to that question, and keep it in the front of your mind every day. There has to be a reason why you're at the job, and if you have lost sight of that, gain or develop the discipline to bring it back. I've talked in the past about psychological salary and financial salary, and the difference, right? I get both through my job. My financial salary, that's the obvious one. That's the paycheck that comes every 2 weeks. I know exactly what I'm going to make. I know exactly what my hourly is. I know exactly what my overtime rate is, right? And so that is the salary I get from the job, the financial salary. The psychological salary is every bit as important. It's every bit as valuable to me. No, I can't pay the mortgage with it, but as a human, and as humans, we are meaning-seeking creatures. As a human who is a meaning-seeking creature, who needs value in going to work and needs a sense of purpose in what they do, it's just part of the work. It's not because it's me, Garrett. Me as a human, you as a human, you have to have purpose in your work if you're going to feel fulfilled in life. Fulfillment's not about being being fulfilled is about having a sense of purpose, not about necessarily being happy. You can be fulfilled and unhappy or going through a rough time, but if you have a sense of purpose, it's so much easier to get through those times. So think of those things like your financial salary versus your psychological salary. What do you get out of the job when you come to work? This sounds corny, but it's absolutely true. I've said it many times, is that from the day I started, from my first day of FTO until today, I've never struggled with the idea that I'm not doing something worthy, right? That every day I go to work, I'm spending it in a worthy cause, and I'm doing something of value, and I never have to leave work and wonder if what I put into the world that day was valuable or not, because of the work we do. It's inherently valuable to me. I see the value, I see the purpose, and that means as much to me as that paycheck that goes into my bank account. So understand why you're here for. And that seventh discipline failure that you might be overlooking is that you've forgotten your purpose. All right, so real quick, we'll recap. The 7, negative self-talk, negative thoughts, interactions with your family, interactions with supervisors and coworkers, the gossip, watch your mouth, focusing on the outcome, not the process, and forgetting your purpose. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're new to the show, make sure you check through our catalog of episodes because you're going to find some amazing guests and some amazing actionable ideas that you can take into your day. Also, if you like what you heard today, I want to offer you some extra free resources that we give out. It's our Tactical Tuesday newsletter. Every Tuesday, I bring you a few tactics, tips, and strategies to help you succeed in the week ahead. It may be a book I want to share, gear I found useful, an inspiring quote to think about, or anything else I think you'd like. To sign up for the Tactical Tuesdays email list, you can visit thesquadroom.net/Tactical Tuesdays, or just text your email address and your first name to 805-364-2331. That's 805-364-2331. Those text messages actually come straight to me. It's not some big conglomerate where they steal all your information. We won't spam you and we won't sell your information. If you didn't catch the phone number, you can check the show notes for that there. But thank you for being with us today. Please share this episode. Please integrate what you've learned here. Please tag me on social media to let me know what is useful. Tag me with some questions, and let's engage in a conversation. And let's make this a better career and a better environment and a better world for all of us. Until next time, take care of each other and stay safe.